Hey babes, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Brandy. I am the host of the Be Real Babe show. And today, you guys, it is time for Keeping Up with Canada. And I have 3 different topics for you today. 2 of them are more BC. Sorry, I know I'm a little bit more biased, but unfortunately, BC has a lot of shit going on we need to talk about. And one of the stories is about an unsolved case that happened in Lake Country on Christmas Day, an unsolved murder, and police were looking for information. So I wanted to spread that story out just to ensure that we're covering all bases here. And then another situation that came out of Merritt, unfortunately, another domestic violence situation that I want to highlight. And then the last story we're going to talk about is, if you don't know, maybe you don't know, maybe you do, now you do. There is an ex-Canadian Olympian that is allegedly this generation's Pablo Escobar that they're on the search for internationally. And I wanted to get into that because what the actual fuck. Anyways, guys, if you're interested in listening to those stories, stick around and we'll jump right in. All right, guys, so hello. If you're watching this live, it is Monday, January 5th. We made it through the new year, another year, 2025. Holy smokes. We are now heading into 2026. What a last year it has been. Just want to thank you guys so much, because it's almost been a year since I've been uploading on this YouTube channel with the Be Real Babe show, with Keeping Up with Canada on Mondays and Internet Insanity on Wednesdays. And that has been so fun. I've been so excited with all the different views and definitely getting out there more different from the podcast. It's been really great. So thank you guys so much for the support in 2025. And then in 2026, we've got a couple more weeks of the show. And then I'm going to be taking an extended long break, as mentioned, or if you're just new here, I have been doing podcasting for 5 years now. And like I mentioned, a year on YouTube. And I do about 3 episodes a week between the two, and then run the social media for it. And your girl's a little tired and I'm feeling burnt out, and I want to take some time to learn a little bit more, have come back with a better studio, learn a little bit more about editing, lighting, all that kind of stuff. But when I only give myself a month and I'm a one lady show in between seasons, I don't really get that time because I have to quickly reset for the next season. So even though it feels counterproductive to take a break right now after doing 10 seasons in 5 years and building the momentum, I think it's super important that I do. So in the meantime, every 3 to 4 days, there's going to be a new podcast from the Be Real Babe podcast that is on Apple, Spotify, and Rumble, currently releasing and just wrapping up here. And that all season 10 is going to be coming on the show here. So make sure to stay tuned. There's still going to be content for the next couple months, but it'll be a little bit different from what you're saying now. And then when we come back, it'll be somewhat the same, but a little different. Like I said, I want to take some time to restructure some of the shows, the way I'm recording, all of that. But because I'm just go since I started, I haven't really had that pause. So we're going to pause. However, there's still a couple weeks left. And today we've got 3 different stories now. One of them is very close to home. It's in the exact city that I actually work in. And there's obviously some foul play going on here. And again, being close to home, I want to try and spread this information out. I mean, all stories are important, but these ones hit closer to home. And sometimes, I think we get caught up on watching Netflix documentaries, and myself, like Law and Crime, and we see stuff in like Florida or Colorado or whatever, wherever it is in the States, or, I report on stories internationally. But as you guys have seen in the last year, there's a lot of shit that goes on in Canada too, don't get me wrong, but majority of what I consume is outside of Canada. So when it happens close to home, obviously that's scares me a little bit. So I wanted to get the story out. So this came out on December 29th. Foul play suspected after man found dead near Lake Country, BC on Christmas Day. The BC RCMP Major Crimes Unit said foul play is suspected after a man was found dead near Lake Country, BC, just north of Kelowna on Christmas Day. Lake Country RCMP said they were to the 1600 block of Gatsky Road shortly after 9:30 p.m. on December 25th. When officers arrived, they found 43-year-old Joseph Robert McCook dead, according to RCMP's news release. I'll put a picture right here. Police say foul play is suspected and the RCMP's Major Crime Unit has taken over the case. RCMP would not disclose exactly where McCook was found and haven't said what day he died. The 16,000 block of Gatsky Road runs parallel to Highway 97, which connects Kelowna and Vernon. The stretch of the road is occupied by at least 6 homes and a gravel pit and a building material company. Police said that they have released a photo of McCook in hopes that furthering the investigation, and that they are looking for public assistance in determining what happened. Anyone with information who has yet to speak to police is asked to call the Major Crimes Unit information line at 1-877-987-8477. Super sad. I don't know what is going on. And I've said this before. I don't know if it's my age. I don't know if it's because we have social media and we have the internet. I just feel like shit is happening on such a crazy fast scale. I don't know how we stop it, but it's just like at the end of the day, at least we can talk about it. At least we can try and share this information and see what's going on. Maybe the more people know about how things like, I understand you're so busy in your life. Sometimes you don't have time to watch the news, or, the news is depressing and all that. And maybe you're not on social media, so you don't know these things, and you're busy in your life. So you really don't know how bad the world's there. And sometimes I do think that that is blissful. However, what happens when it could happen to you, right? And then all of a sudden you're then cascade or like launched into all of this fuckery. You're like, oh my gosh, this has been happening for so long. You know what I mean? I think that was me. I just moved along in life until a bunch of shit happened. I was like, oh my gosh. So now I think that's why I want to talk about stuff all the time, because it's just like the more we talk about it, at the very least, more people know. Maybe we can solve some cases. Maybe we can collectively come together and figure out what's going on. On the podcast in the coming, actually next Friday, or this Friday, I guess it will be, I'm going to be launching an episode about missing people in Canada. And a lot of this sparked from the many missing persons cases in Dawson Creek as well. So kind of going over that. And to me, it's just one of those things where it's the more we talk about, the more people know about it, then more we can be, I guess, a little bit the most vigilant you can be. And I'm not victim blaming. Shit happens to people all the time. But for myself, I think there's so many things I've learned over the last couple of years from reading these stories of just being a little bit more aware. I'm not on my phone as much in public. I'm trying to be aware. I went to boxing and trying to build my body to be stronger, things like that, like, what can I do to help protect myself? And I don't want to live in a world where I'm afraid, but I also don't want to live in a world where I'm not prepared. And I think there's like a middle ground, right? So, again, if you can go back there a little bit and take that screenshot of that photo, and if you can share this information, share the story. I think everything helps. You just never know who knows something. You never know who might have been driving by that day that ends up having a video camera on their car, or who's nearby that has a ring light or something like that. You know what I mean? It doesn't hurt to always keep your eyes and ears open. Maybe you hear information, maybe someone told, you know what I mean? I mean, sometimes a lot of it's speculation, but then if you got a lot of speculation pointing you in one direction, like, I'm not a cop, so I assume they know how to do those things. But either way, talking about it. So if you guys hear anything about that, obviously go back to that number, give them a call, and sending condolences out and loves and prayers and healings to the family and the friends that lost someone, especially Christmas Day. I know, and I'm not saying that death any other day is better. Do not get me wrong. I'm just one of those crazy people that is like terrified of shit happening on special occasions. Just because sometimes the world feels dark and those special occasions always bring brightness, right? It's tragic either way, do not get me wrong. But at least you look for those holidays, those special moments in your life, those anniversaries, those traditional things. If you're like that, like I am, you're always worried that that could get taken away. And I don't mean that to sound selfish, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, so next story. BC RCMP was investigating alleged intimate partner violence before BC woman's death. An advocacy agent raised concerns about RCMP's investigation into alleged intimate partner violence case. So this is posted December 27th. The Independent Investigation Office, IIO, says it is investigating the death of a woman in Merritt, BC after an advocacy group raised concerns over local RCMP's handling of the case. Before the IIO stepped in, Merritt RCMP have been investigating the woman's December 16th death, for which a man was charged with second-degree murder. Now, if they do overturn Bailey's Law, which we've talked several times before, in my understanding, I would think that this would fall under there, then pushing this to first-degree murder case. I believe, but don't quote me on that. I don't know how that works exactly, but I know that that's what they're striving for intimate violence. And it is so unfortunate. And this is why I keep talking about it, you guys. Like, how many more intimate violence cases are we going to have in this province alone before something gets done here? Like, we need to be holding criminals in longer. We need to, just my opinion. Again, I'm not saying I know everything, but something else has to be done. It's not currently working. But before the women died, IIO says police had been in communication with the woman and were investigating alleged intimate partner violence. They were last in contact with her several days before she died. The RCMP has provided information that the investigation occurred over a period of time prior to the death. The IAO investigates any incident involving police that results in serious harm or death. Angela Marie McDougall, Executive Director for Battered Women's Support Services, said the group contacted the IIO because they felt it was important for the case to be independently reviewed. Given the seriousness of the harm that this victim experienced and in the context of the prior police contact, it seemed appropriate to ask the IIO to review the case. Her organization asked the watchdog to examine whether the provincial policies around risk assessment and victim services were properly followed before the woman's death. There are specific tools that can be used when investigating intimate partner violence, she said. Femicide can be predicted, she said. There's been evidence-based risk assessment tools that are established that help determine the potential lethality factors that are there. When a woman signals that she's been preparing to separate from an abusive partner, this is the most lethal time, and that's why it's very important to have a system, a coordinated response that's there to help and support the victim. The IIO investigation comes as the province moves to strengthen its response to intimate partner violence. BC Attorney General Nikki Shamra announced earlier this month that the province will establishing a comprehensive framework to guide all those within the justice system to better help respond to intimate partner violence. And this is what I mean about speaking up and talking. And this is not for like necessarily victims. I know that that can be extremely difficult. You have your own healing process. There's a lot involved in that. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if and when you are, that advocacy is very important to get eyes and ears, because then a lot of other people catch more wind to it that don't have that experience. And it's not fortunate that it's not unfortunate that people don't all have this experience, but it's unfortunate that they might not be aware of it. That doesn't mean they don't care. That doesn't mean they don't want to listen. Now, are there people that don't? Absolutely. There's shit fuck bags all over the place here, but majority of us give a shit. And even though maybe we don't experience our trauma in those ways, it doesn't mean we don't understand the pain of healing and coming forward and sharing the story. At the end of the day, too, though, a lot of us that have spoken out, that have risen from their shit, and I'm not saying you need to, but if you have, it is very encouraging for others to do the same in healing, right? And then you find that empowerment in there. And then when things are done, then hopefully it gets to the level of this where justice is coming down. Now, it's great that they're doing more to help individuals, do not get me wrong, but where's the conversation of holding people in jail? It seems a common theme in these stories is that the person that did the murder was released from aggravated assault or having hundreds of criminal charges that they just get dropped and they go into the streets. I don't understand that. I don't understand why we're not holding more accountable. Like if I had a choice and I needed to know where my taxes are going, I'd prefer to have criminals held longer and rehabilitated before they go out. You know what I mean? Like they're not in a good state. I'm not defending criminals, but they're not in a good state. Then they go into this place where they're not treated any better. They're not given anything more in my understanding, more resources to get better. And then they're just pushed back out. And where are they supposed to go to survive, especially in an economy like this? Is just this cycle. That's not fair to those human beings either. So what the fuck? And again, I'm just a fucking stoner here in Canada talking, guys. Like I'm just reading articles. This is all I know. So I'm aware there's a bunch of shit I don't know. All I know is it's not working. And women and families and even men, there's little boys involved in this. There's spouses that are losing their wives to their exes. Like there's so many people that are getting harmed from these individuals just not getting either put away long enough or treated properly and help to why they're fucking acting like this. I'm not saying we need to bring lobotomies back. We need to do any sort of like demon possession shit. But obviously whatever we're doing with criminals isn't working because it's getting worse. And the world's getting a little worse. And I'm not saying we need to come down and be harsher, but we definitely need to be figuring out and supporting more. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I don't know. Anyways, let's carry on. The changes came after the release of a systematic review in June of the province's treatment of victims, survivors of sexual assault, and intimate partner violence in the legal system. An average of 102 women and girls across Canada were victim of gender-related homicide each year from 2011 to 2021, according to Statistics Canada, and 93% of the homicides were committed by a male intimate partner or family member of the victim. That's so much. The watchdog agency said it's investigating whether the office actioned or inactioned in the case is connected to the woman's death, adding that the office will determine whether there are reasonable grounds to believe that an offense has occurred. Hold on. Let's go into a little bit more here. I'm just going to actually pull up a little bit more here. So, man charged with second-degree murder for wife's death in Merritt, BC. Pamela Jarvis was 45 years old. Friends and community are raising money to support her children. A man has been charged with second-degree murder in the connection with the death of his wife in Merritt, BC. Officers and paramedics were called to a home in the city Tuesday and arrived to find Pamela Jarvis, 45, suffering from significant injuries, police said in the news release. Jarvis was taken to hospital where later she died. RCMP said the suspect, her husband, fled the home before officers arrived, but he was located and arrested a few hours later. On Wednesday, Christopher Bernard Jarvis was charged with second-degree murder in Jarvis's death. The 49-year-old has been denied bail and remained in custody until his next court appearance on January 6, 2026. Keep you guys posted. The BC RCMP Southeast District Major Crimes Unit has taken over the investigation. Police have not released details about how Jarvis died. Friends and family and community members have since launched a fundraising efforts to support Jarvis's children. And this is where they talk about Frank Caputo's bill that we talked about, Bill C-225, that was tabled in September, which talks about updating the criminal code, including making the killing of an intimate partner an automatic first-degree murder charge and changing bail rules for those with domestic violence for previous convictions. As mentioned, what happened with Bailey in McCourt in Kelowna here in the summer. Her estranged spouse was released off of massive charges. There's massive red flags, and then he went and unfortunately took her life that day. And so her family is fighting, as well as Frank Caputo in the federal area over there to try and get things. I know the Liberal government is also working to do things as well, and it looks like here in BC, the provincial government looks like they're also trying to do things as well. So that's amazing, but unfortunately, she does leave quite a few kids behind, and it's just like super sad. And do not quote me on this, I just seen something on Instagram that went around, and allegedly she had told one of her friends, I believe, that she did believe that he was going to kill her. So again, what's being done, I know a lot of people say, well, report it, and they do these things, and it gets to the point where it doesn't matter, because that person is so fucking mentally lost that they're gonna do what they want to do. They don't really care about restraining orders or all of that. Like, these people need to be locked away and helped. Like, it is just putting them away and leaving them there to rot, and then releasing them 10, 15 years later without any sort of therapy or help or anything like that, I think doesn't solve problems, just personally. And I'm not saying that if they did therapy or a bunch of other services that they would get better, but I would think perhaps there would be a better chance, because it seems like majority of the crimes and a lot of, when you look at local levels, seem to be repeat people. Why is that? Because maybe just putting them away, I'm not saying they should be a part of society, especially do heinous shit. And I'm not saying you can help pedophiles or, you know what I'm saying? But even the low level criminals that are doing most of the chaos and disrupting everyday humans that are just trying to do their fucking, like, stealing shit from them and assaulting them and all those kind of things, like, I'm not saying, but the murderers, that's a whole different, but at the very minimum, that's what we're seeing. These lower level criminals stack up to a fuck ton of them, gun charges, drug charges, all those kind of charges, assaults, and it goes over until there's like 1,000, and all of a sudden they do something so crazy that then they have to be arrested because they've gone and murdered people, but they've gotten away with so many other things before that. It's like, what are we doing in the onset of that? And again, I'm not saying it's going to resolve it, but what we're doing right now doesn't seem to be working. Lighter punishments, coming at it, oh, we're just like, hey, care about, if you have feelings, then why don't you care about feeling things and making them better and trying to help doing that, letting them out and making their own decisions. It's not great, obviously. This is what they just catch and release, let them go and let them know they're obviously not making good choices. They need the support, the education, something, something, love. I don't know what, but it's not working, this catch and release. But I am really happy to see that things are progressing in a way where it seems like there's going to be certain and harsher punishments. Like, what are you talking about? Second degree? That is first degree murder. That individual, that person. You just don't wake up one morning and go, I'm going to kill someone. You just don't. I'm sorry. Like, you don't. The only way that happens, where you just wake up and accidentally kill someone, is for realsy an accident. That is different. That is manslaughter. That is not that. And if you're with someone and you kill them, I agree, it should be automatic. But that's my thoughts on that one. So let's go to the next topic, which is just as insane, but at least doesn't involve any, well, that's not true. It's insane, and it does involve people murdering. What am I talking about? Because at first it seems like it's just like a crazy headline, like, right, like there's a ex-Canadian Olympian that is supposed to be the next Pablo Escobar type situation of our generation. You're just like, what the fuck is this serious? This has got to be a joke. But no, it's for realsies, and we're going to dive into a little bit here, especially if you haven't heard about it. This might be news to you, and if this is repeat information, then tell me what the fuck you think and what you've learned, because this is a big, deep rabbit hole, but we're just going to go down it just slightly, not too deep. There's so many different articles and so many different things that could be said about this said situation. So I'm just going to pull a couple articles. I'm not versed in this lore as much. I just jumped into it recently. Actually, I watched this happen around Christmas because Grant had mentioned it, and I was just like, that can't be a real thing. And then Dobie, I was like, it is a real thing. So it's kind of progressed a little bit, but let's start back in November. So this is published November 19th. If you kill this witness, the case would be dismissed. GTA lawyer accused in murder plot linked to Ryan Wedding. So we're going to learn about Ryan Wedding, if you don't know who he is and what's going on, and the lore that is happening here in this situation. Okay, so let's get into this article. So the U.S. Department of Justice says a Canadian ex-Olympic snowboarder turned alleged drug trafficking kingpin ordered the January murder of a key witness in the case against him on the advice of his Greater Toronto area lawyer. So I'm not sure what the pipeline is here from going from a Olympic snowboarder, which it sounds like he was maybe like a stoner kind of situation to a drug trafficking kingpin, and that is wanted by the U.S. Department, and got someone killed as a witness. I don't know what the pipeline is there, but don't know if that's a niche. But definitely that's why it kind of was like, well, what the fuck is actually going on here? He controls one of the most prolific and violent drug trafficking organization in this world. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi said of Ryan Wedding at a news conference on Wednesday. He is the largest distributor of cocaine in Canada. Now, what I would also like to know, and again, maybe I'm not versed in this, why doesn't Canada know about this? Is Canada going after this man if he is bringing the most cocaine into our country? And again, I understand I have my own algorithm, I have my own echo chamber, and I can't read everything all the time. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe y'all know about him. But I find it crazy that I'm finding out about this about Pan Bondi. That's kind of where you know what I'm saying? Like, what the actual fuck? Why are we not caring about this in this country? I know in BC we don't care, apparently. In unsealing the new indictment, the DOJ announced that 10 suspects, 7 of whom are Canadian, were arrested on Tuesday in connection with what officials are calling phase 2 of Operation Giant Slalom. We are not a serious people. Operation Giant Slalom. 4 suspects, including Wedding, are still at large. The new charges laid Tuesday include drug trafficking, murder, and witness tampering. Wedding's lawyer, 62-year-old Thornhill, Ontario resident Deepak Balwant Paradkar, is listed among those in custody. The dual Indian-Canadian citizens co-accused include, I am so sorry, now I'm going to butcher all these people's names. It's just my terrible English, it's just my terrible way. I'm terrible at pronouncing stuff. Atna Ona, 40, of Laval, Quebec. Gerswek Singh Ball, 31, of Mississauga, Ontario. Alistair Chapman, 33, of Calgary, Alberta. Ahmad Nabil Zatoun, 35, of Edmonton, Alberta. Carmen Yulinet Veloyes Flores, 47, of Bogota, Colombia. Eulith Catherine Tejeda, 36, of Orlando, Florida. Edwin Bassaro Hernandez, 31, of Montreal, Quebec. Wilson Riascos, 45, of Cali, Colombia. And Roland Sokolovsky, 37, of Toronto. The DOJ said it plans to extradite the Canadians arrested on Tuesday to the U.S. to stand trial, and that the reward for information leading to Wedding's arrest has increased from $10 million to $15 million. And just keep that in mind. We're going to see an increase here. Officials, remember this is in November. Officials say Wedding, whose aliases include El Jefe, Giant, and Public Enemy, is believed to be living in Mexico and is protected by the Sinaloa cartel. He was previously listed and remains on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. Wedding has been linked to at least 4 murders in Ontario in furtherance of his alleged drug empire, which police say used long-haul semi-trucks to transport cocaine across Colombia, Mexico, the U.S., and Canada. Bondi said under Wedding's direction, the group has trafficked 60 metric tons of cocaine per year through those channels in what has become a multi-billion-dollar criminal enterprise. Let me repeat that again. 60 metric tons of cocaine. Why is the Canadian government not talking about this? Did they not know? The modern-day iteration of Pablo Escobar. The 44-year-old fugitive allegedly used a Canadian website called The Dirty News to post photographs of the witness, who was not named, and his wife to locate them. The witness was gunned down in a restaurant in Medellin before he could testify against Wedding, Bondi said. She highlighted that the murder came after Wedding was first indicted in October 2024. The victim was shot in the head 5 times and died instantly. The indictment states that Wedding placed a bounty of up to $5 million on the head of the witness, and Singh Ball, the co-founder and co-operator of The Dirty News, agreed to post a photograph of the witness so that they could be located and killed in exchange for roughly 10,000 Canadian. The website has since been seized and shut down. Oh shit. It's alleged that Basra Hernandez, whose authorities say is a reggaeton musician and citizen of the Dominican Republic, provided co-conspirators with the victim's contact information for the purpose of helping Wedding and his criminal enterprise locate and murder the victim. The indictment alleges that Wedding informed his alleged second-in-command Canadian Andrew Clark that the witness was dead on January 31st, 2025, and sent him a photograph of the corpse. sometimes when I read this, and again, I don't want to be a criminal and I don't want to give tips, but like sometimes you guys, you can tell that you haven't watched Law and Crime or like any sort of like body cam footage or like any sort of anything with you sending a photo of a dead body. I mean, I know you're probably protected, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes you make it easy, but maybe you don't care. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you want to be known as this. You know, some people are that, but please don't kill me. I'm just a tiny Canadian. We're reading what is on the news and don't go after me. Clark was in custody in Mexico awaiting extradition proceedings at the time. Wedding, the indictment said, then facilitated a $500,000 U.S. payment to the members of the conspiracy in Colombia. FBI Director Kash Patel called Wedding and his associates animals in describing their alleged drug trafficking network and the likes of which he said the Bureau has not seen in a long time. You do not get to be a drug kingpin and evade the law. Make no mistake about it. Ryan Wedding is the modern day iteration of Pablo Escobar. He's a modern day iteration of El Chapo. The Justice Department and the FBI will work with our Canadian counterparts and the government officials across the world to bring him to justice. U.S. officials said that Paradakar, whose aliases included cocaine_lawyer, again, interesting idea, introduced Wedding to the drug traffickers that moved his narcotics and helped him with bribery and murder. Alrighty. According to the 54-page indictment, Paradkar advised Wedding and Clark that the murder of the witness would result in the case collapsing and help them avoid extradition from Mexico on criminal charges. Defendant Paradkar and others known and unknown to the grand jury would advise Defendant Wedding and Clark that victim A's murder would benefit them by causing the federal indictment against them in Wedding and I related extradition proceedings to be dismissed. His lawyer advised him to kill this witness. His lawyer told him, if you kill this witness, the case will be dismissed. The lawyer is now in custody and he'll be extradited and brought to justice here in the United States. The indictment goes on to say that Paradkar allegedly allowed Clark to covertly listen in on conversations he was having with one of their co-accused. In another case, while Clark and another defendant discussed killing another co-accused, Paradkar advised them to discuss the matter on a different chat without him present and to delete any and all discussions in the murder plot. Are you dumb? Again, do you guys not watch Law and Crime? You can delete something. They will find it. Unless you're some fucking crazy coder, they will find it. You just delete it from they will find it. Digital's anyway, whatever. These are criminals. I'm not giving you any advice as criminals. So carrying on here, Patakar is not the only individual with ties to the GTA facing new charges. Roland Sokolovsky, 37 of Toronto, is also facing charges for allegedly laundering illicit funds through his jewelry business, which maintains a storefront in downtown Toronto under the name Diamond Sar. The indictment further alleges that Sokolovsky made a bejeweled necklace for one of the defendants as a reward for his role in the murder of the key witness. 8 other individuals and 9 entities were also sanctioned Wednesday, but not all were charged criminally. Wedding allegedly laundered the proceeds of his drug ring and used cryptocurrency to conceal them. Bondi said that so far, roughly $3.2 million in crypto has been recovered and over $13 million in physical assets have been confiscated. Mike Doom, the commissioner of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, was on hand for Wednesday's news conference. He underscored that although North American police agencies have been working tirelessly to track down Wedding, their work is not done. Fugitive Ryan Wedding remains one of the top threats to Canadian public safety. Wedding and Clark are accused of directing a deadly triple shooting in Kelowna, Ontario on November 20th, 2023, in retaliation for a stolen drug shipment. A couple who was visiting from India was killed. Their daughter was seriously injured but survived. Police said the victims were not intended targets and they were completely innocent. Clark, who has ties to Toronto, was arrested in Mexico in 2024 and has been since extradited to the U.S. A murder in Niagara region and Peel region are also linked to the group. The RCMP previously said that Wedding faces what they described unresolved drug trafficking charges in Canada that date back to 2015. He previously served prison time in the U.S. for a 2010 conviction for conspiracy to distribute cocaine. Wedding competed for Canada in the parallel giant slalom in 2002 Winter Games in Salt Lake City. He finished in 24th place. Oh, my bad. He didn't get a medal at all. Whoops. Okay, so is that the pipeline? Anyway, so sorry for the families involved. Holy fuck. And okay, great. Sounds like Canada's involved. So that's good to know. Why the fuck aren't Canadian news talking about this? Or did they? I don't know. I guess it's talking about it now, but like, I feel like it's talking about it now, but why haven't we talked about this whole time? Either way, whatever. We're talking about it now. We're talking about it now. So let's carry on to the update on December 25th. Mexico seizes Olympic medals, motorcycles in raid seemingly linked to hunt for Canadian fugitive Ryan Wedding. The government didn't identify Wedding by name, but said raids targeted a former Olympian. How many Olympians are doing this shit? Where's the pipeline? Mexican authorities say they seized motorcycles, Olympic medals, and drugs in a series of raids, a move seemingly linked to the hunt for Canadian fugitive Ryan Wedding. The operations amount to the most significant series of moves publicly acknowledged by Mexico that appear to be in connection with a manhunt for alleged cartel-linked drug lord. With a manhunt for the alleged cartel-linked drug lord. The government statement didn't identify Wedding by name, but said that raids targeted foreign former Olympian listed among U.S. authorities' most wanted fugitives. Only Wedding, who was born in Thunder Bay, Ontario, and competed in snowboarding in 2002 Olympic Games in Utah, fits the bill. Mexican media also named the 44-year-old as the target of the operation. The statement from Mexico's Security Secretariat said 4 properties were raided in Mexico City and the nearby state of Mexico, a region that includes some of the capital's suburbs. The operation involved multiple agencies, including Mexico's Navy, National Guard, and federal agents from the Attorney General's office, the Fiscalía General de la República. Probably butchered that. Mexican authorities said it seized items include 62 high-end motorcycles, 2 vehicles, 2 Olympic medals, methamphetamine, marijuana, works of art, ammunition, and documents. Documents, hey? What kind of documents? Who the medal belongs to isn't clear, because he didn't. Wedding finished 24th in parallel giant slalom event in 2002 and did not return to the Olympics. Maybe that's something he really wanted. It was like, you know what? When I'm top kingpin, I'm just gonna buy myself. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why he became the kingpin, because he wanted to buy his own medals. Please don't. I'm just kidding. I have 3 cats. Please don't. Allegations of drug smuggling linked to murders. U.S. authorities and the RCMP have said Wedding later turned to a life of crime, built a billionaire-dollar drug smuggling empire linked to dozens of murders he's believed to be hiding in Mexico. The U.S. is offering a reward of $15 million US for information leading to his capture. It is now up to, so 25 million Canadian. The U.S. 25? Between 20 and 25. The U.S. Treasury Department recently said Wedding uses luxury cars, motorcycles, properties, front companies, and crypto as a part of a complex web of assets to shield his vast wealth. Last month, the FBI in Miami seized an ultra-rare Mercedes-Benz GLK GTR Roadster, estimated worth $13 million. A CBC News investigation found the car had been purchased by Roland Sokolovsky, a Toronto jeweler identified by U.S. authorities as one of Wedding's chief money launderers. U.S. investigators have also previously hinted at Wedding's possible connections to the Mexican capital and nearby state of Mexico. The FBI told CBC in August that it has launched a social media campaign focused on the capital suburbs in central Mexico, seeking to elicit tips on Wedding's hideout. We believe that there are potentially people in that area who have information about his whereabouts. A CBC review of public records found Daniela Alexandra Acun Macias, named by U.S. authorities as Wedding's Colombian-born girlfriend, has an address listed in the region just beyond the western edge of Mexico City. The area is only a short drive from the Santa Fe Business District, which, according to an analysis by CBC's Visual Investigations Unit, is where Wedding was seen wearing a blue cap and white T-shirt in 2002 picture released by the FBI. According to the court records, Wedding met with his alleged right-hand man, Andrew Kark, and drug trafficker turned FBI witness Jonathan Acevedo Garcia in Mexico City coffee shop in January 2024. Montreal-born Acevedo Garcia was assassinated in Colombia a year later in a brazen shooting that U.S. prosecutors said was orchestrated by Wedding. Dang. An Ontario court this week granted bail to Deepak Paradka, the Toronto area defense lawyer alleged to have counseled Wedding to commit the murder. Paradkar has denied wrongdoing. But you said it. And then you said delete the message. How's that not wrongdoing, bro? I understand, like, you didn't murder, but you definitely have a hand in it, and you should not be a lawyer. And anyways, this is what it's like here in Canada, I guess. Or did he get let go by... Anyway. just thought that was really interesting story. I could not believe that. Again, it sounds like Canadian government has been involved. I'm just so shocked. Maybe I'm in my own echo chamber. Maybe I'm old to this story. But you let me know. Have you heard about Ryan Wedding? Do you know anything about this? I find this insane. And it's across Canada, across the States and Mexico, all over here. There's connections everywhere. Like, I'm just really not that smart. So I guess I'm just shocked that all this shit happens. And I also am scared of everything. And so if I did something like this, I would be paranoid city. So I just could not. I do not have the balls of the Konos to be that. And it's just interesting that a Canadian snowboarder is now allegedly the next kingpin of cocaine. Just blew my mind. But anyways, guys, remember, if you have any information or hear any information about the murder in Lake Country, don't forget to call in any tips that you have to the RCMP. Wishes, prayers, thoughts to the family who lost their mom not that long ago. Again, I really it's got to be hard. It's like Christmas at the same time. It's just absolute terrible news at the absolute worst time. Not that there's any time for that good news, but hoping and praying that they bring justice and that justice will serve through the changes through Bailey's law to bring domestic violence to the forefront of how serious this is. And of course, obviously, if you have information on Ryan Wedding and if you can lead to his arrest, you'll probably get around $20-something million Canadian. So, I mean, don't do that, do whatever you want, but there's something out there. I have no information. I could use $20 million. I don't know anybody that couldn't. Doesn't sound like he's really helping people. But your call, your decision, if you know any information, obviously. But thank you guys so much. This has been a wonderful, wonderful year. Again, like I said, thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. A couple more weeks here, and then we're going to flip over to a podcast format for a couple months here, and then I will be back. So thank you guys again so much, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time, bye.